Coming up on Cogeco News, employed and then working, both in the same day they were unveiled. More on the former RCMP constable, Haley Kianen, and yes, we're even going to talk hockey on this hot day in June. Hello again, everybody. Welcome to this Thursday edition of Cogeco News. I'm Greg Estabrooks. It is a good thing the North Bay Police Service had their brand new power-assisted police bikes fully operational and fully charged, because on the day they were unveiled, a roadside stop led to a subsequent impaired charge, and that was placed on Wednesday, the day of the news conference unveiling the new bikes. With the latest, here is Clark Heipel.
Yes, Greg, it did not take long for these new Trek power-assisted police bicycles to be put to good use. Yesterday, just hours after the press conference at Farquhar Chrysler on Trout Lake Road, two officers on bikes with power assist arrested a 64-year-old North Bay man for impaired driving. This unnamed man faces a charge of operation of a motor vehicle with over 80 milligrams of alcohol in his system. It is city police procedure and policy not to name the accused. And as you saw on Wednesday's edition of Cogeco News, these new e-bikes are equipped with police lights and sirens that are consistent with the requirements of the Highway Traffic Act. This man was released from police custody after his arrest, and he is to appear in court on July 29th to answer the charge. Deputy Chief Michael Daze, who was in attendance at that press conference yesterday, states, quote, "Our officers continue to enforce driving-related offenses. This man is the 34th person charged with impaired driving this year." Meanwhile, Chief Scott Todd, who was also at that press conference yesterday, says, quote, "This increase in the number of people charged may be the result of additional impaired-relating training police have received over the last 2 years. But what is unique about this charge is the fact that it is the first impaired-related occurrence with police using new e-bikes to keep our streets safe." Unquote. The generous donation from Aaron and Ryan Farquhar, with help from Barry Kloss at Cheapskates, has seen an impaired driver be arrested and taken off the road. Let's send it back to Greg at the studio.
Thank you, Clark. Yesterday we told you part of the Haley Kianen story, and there is a lot of story to tell today. The former RCMP constable who successfully sued the institution after she quit speaks out on policing today and some things that could make it better.
They definitely need more mental health training, but what I will give kudos to right now for the RCMP is not only the fact they invited me back in a way that I sit on a board for them, that the Mountie that sued them, initiated a class action lawsuit, has been invited back to help. Not only that, but they also have a reintegration program for members that might have been involved in a critical incident with weapons or some type of a situation where they had to go off work. So they reintegrate them back into the system so they're comfortable using their weapons again and comfortable with the use of force module. It's a module that shows police and teaches them what type of use of force to use in what situation. So what we're seeing nationwide is excessive use of force. Now, what we're also sometimes seeing is only perhaps one side of it. I'm not going to go deep and touch on George Floyd. I will personally say I was so saddened to see that there were 4 officers and somebody died and he was handcuffed. That is atrocious. Okay, so police do need to figure it out, but policing, they train you, they teach you. You must then take that knowledge and you must go apply it and implement what you've learned. Not everybody knows how to do that.
Despite the fact there have been many incidents across North America involving police and unarmed civilians, and the fact there's been a huge outcry, thousands protesting, and violence in the streets, Kianen says the police should not be defunded, as many have called for south of the border and even some north of the border.
To defund the police is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard of. I myself am not a police officer anymore, but I depend on the safety, my safety and my family's safety. I depend on the police around North Bay each and every day and the OPP. Now, if you want to defund somebody, defund the politicians. because I see a lot of politicians being paid a lot of large salaries that I think they could cut off some of their monies. Defunding the police to me means taking away money from an organization that keeps people safe and secure. I think that we need that. I understand that they want to take some monies from the police forces and give them to perhaps social workers or frontline workers so that they can assist with the policing situation. It's not easy being a cop. People think that cops just go out there and they're Superman and they go fight crime with a cape. Well, it's not simple, it's not easy, and shit is gonna happen. There are bad apples, but there are also a lot of bad criminals. So my thoughts on defunding the police is utterly ridiculous.
There's no question the Chamber of Commerce in North Bay and area monitoring and likely hearing about the financial impact regarding the slow reopening of Ontario by the Ford government. Peter Chirico is playing it close to the vest when reacting to this.
Things seem to be moving forward fairly quickly with the reopening of some of these businesses. Some are being cautious and sort of gradually reopening. I know that a lot of the restaurants want to get open as quick as they could, but some of them are just sort of feeling their way through it, and to make sure that they have the proper procedures in place and that they meet all of the public health guidelines through the reopening part of this. We have seen, certainly there's some hiccups, there's some issues that people have had to reach out and certainly try to navigate through those different things on the reopening where it doesn't quite conform. Prime issue was some of these restaurants that don't have patios presently. How can they open at the same time? The tents in the parking lots, those types of things. So very appreciative from the city clearing the way to be able to allow these to open. Again, we need cooperation from all levels of government to make sure that these businesses that are going through probably the worst economic time they've ever seen in their livelihoods be successful or try to be successful during this period.
I wanted to ask about a survey. There's been talk about maybe shutting down Main Street on a summertime basis. Your thoughts about that and what kind of feedback did the survey get?
We've, well, certainly it was done by the DIA, so we're not yet privy to those results. From our point of view, I think that we've heard from a lot of our members that are also DIA members, and they're positive towards shutting it down, whether it just be for weekends, whatever the case may be, to encourage people to get downtown, to support the local downtown. And, you know, at very minimal cost, this could be accomplished. And we think that it's probably good, but we will base our decision on the DIAs, who certainly that's their membership, who will tell us what they want to do, and we'll see what that comes. But I think it could be a plus in allowing us to get those businesses open and operating quicker, or at least back up to whatever normal might be.
Right now, the stock market has been more or less flat. Of course, that could change in an hour after a very deep dive when the pandemic started to hit in March, and there were wild swings in both directions over the next 3 months. 3 months ago, we spoke to a local financial advisor about the situation. 3 months later, we speak with him again. Here is Charles Elliott from Edward Jones.
Well, there was at first there was a lot of calls from clients that they were worried about, their investments and where the future was going and what should we do. For the most part, people kept their investments in place, and I think that, now they're happy that they did that, because the markets have rebounded quite a bit from where we were at a low on March 23rd was the lowest day. We've seen a lot of volatility. There's still volatility with the markets as information comes out. There is still lots of unknowns as far as moving forward with COVID and what's going to happen, where's the economy going to be, and when's the second wave going to hit? Yeah, after every downturn, the markets have recovered, and if you're doing your planning properly, it's based on setting goals and making sure that you have certain things in place for down the road, and it's built in that there are ups and downs that we do go through.
And Elliott was forthright when saying that sometimes the markets and the economy aren't in sync.
It's interesting as we see where the economy going, and we've seen the governments be reactive and coming out with different programs like CERB to make sure that we have flow of money and that we keep the economy going. So I think those are all seen as positives as we go through, but we don't really know what the long-term effects are going to be with the economy and people getting their jobs back, and what's it going to look like, what's the new normal going to be. So there's still lots of unknowns as we go forward.
We know one thing as we go forward, we're going to have Pet of the Week for you. Kitties galore down the street from us at 2060 Main Street West. Clark will have that right after this. Welcome back, everybody. It is it was really the fourth day of what was a traditional work week for all you 9-to-5ers out there. Of course, a lot of those traditions out the window the last 3 months, but one tradition remains on Thursday. Q's is up for another installment of Pet of the Week. With adoptions restarted despite COVID-19, dozens of young cats are still needing homes. Here's Clark.
This cute gray cat, just one of nearly 20 cats in one of the cat rooms at the Humane Society. Many of these animals surrendered from their owners due to the lack of spay-neuter.
Spring is upon us, summer is almost here, and we wanted to feature some of the newest residents that we have at the North Bay Humane Society. So our adoption program is up and running, and we wanted to really encourage people, if they're looking for an animal, now is the time to come on down to the Humane Society, give us a call, or check out our website.
Now, I know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it regardless. Where are these cats coming from?
So a lot of the ones that we have in right now are being brought in as surrenders. So we're getting a lot of backlog from when we were closed, and people that sort of struggled through the spring months with kittens being born and not having any other options. So it was really tough for a lot of people going through the strain of not having help from shelters, vet clinics, spay, neuter, that sort of thing. So we're just trying to catch up with people that have been overwhelmed by little guys like this.
Now, it's safe to say that no animal leaves the shelter here without the spay or neuter procedure. Is that true?
Definitely. So the North Bay Humane Society has the spay neuter clinic. Cats like this that are a little bit too small may go out, but we definitely follow up with the adopter. Everything is included with the adoption fees. So for $190, that includes their spay neuter, vaccines, and microchips. So it's a pretty good deal.
Spay neuter is the way to do it. If somebody has a cat at home, it's not spayed or neutered, can they call you guys and book an appointment for a neutering or spaying?
Absolutely. So our clinic is open to the public. We do have a backlog of appointments, so we're a little bit overwhelmed with that right now, and it's not to the benefit of a lot of people that, again, find themselves in a tough situation, but it certainly encouraged people to call in, ask questions. If they're in a different situation, we can try and bump them up in the queue, but definitely give us a call and ask.
What comes to mind when you think of adopting a kitty?
So for me personally, I mean, we have a lot of sort of benefits and things to watch for with kittens. So as you can see, they're a little bit busy. As you can see probably behind me, there's some napping, there's some sort of causing havoc. So definitely be ready for what you're getting into. These guys, this one here is about 8 weeks old right now. So lots of life. So definitely something very important to know, that it could be another 18 or 20 years that you have this little guy around for. So be ready for what you're getting into.
From personal experience, I adopt senior pets because the house training is taken care of. So it's kind of like an express pet.
Definitely. So we definitely try to get a lot of those traits into the animals before we get them into homes. With cats, it's a little bit easy because basically you put a litter box out and they're geared to actually use it. These ones here, because they're coming from predominantly one home, we just want to make sure that they haven't been overwhelmed with, you know, potentially house soiling in corners or soiling on bed sheets, that sort of thing. So they're in the transition stages. So this one in particular, and a lot of the other ones that have recently come in, aren't available at the moment, but we're really encouraging people to keep an eye on the website because they will be shortly.
That was leading into my next question. What should people do if their eyes light up with roses when they see a kitty? What should they do?
Keep an eye on our website and our Facebook page. So everything is going to be advertised there. If they're interested in adding a new member to their family, definitely reach out to those social media pages right now. Otherwise, if they have something in particular in mind, they can give us a call. They can chat with myself or anybody else here, and we'd be happy to try and pair them up.
Clark reminds you, adopt, don't shop. I understand he's getting a sandwich board made up saying that very thing. Clark has weather and much more right after this.
Weather is brought to you by Canadore College. Great things happen here.
Person that developed this area, he named the streets after his kids.
This is Streets You Didn't Know Existed, episode 11. Welcome back to Cogeco News. I'm Clark Heipel here. I'll tell you where here is in a moment, as I'm standing here to deliver your 5-day weather forecast brought to you by Canadore College as we wind down spring and gear up for summer. However, summer has arrived and it is hot and the UV index is high. So wear sunscreen, wear a hat, and cover skin to reduce your chance of getting a sunburn. Now, for the Streets You Didn't Know Existed installment, it could be named Crescents You Didn't Know Existed. I did give a hint on our Your TV Facebook page earlier in the day as I alluded to some orange juice. And yes, the name of this crescent is Orange. There are about 20 houses or so on it. So if you don't have friends or family and don't live in the direct area, I'm pretty sure that you don't know where Orange Crescent is. It is in the Birchhaven neighborhood off of Sage Road. Certainly no orange trees growing up here due to the northern climate. However, we can enjoy orange juice on this hot day. Let's take a look at that 5-day forecast brought to you by Canadore College. At the time of reading this weather forecast, it is a beautiful 25 sunny degrees. Overnight on this Thursday night, the skies remain clear with a low of 14. Friday, the 19th of June, hot once again, sunny, with 29 being the high for the mercury and 32 being the high for the humidex. UV index 9 or extreme. Wear sunscreen over exposed skin. Friday night, 17 for the low. On Saturday, the first official day of summer, we're going to have a summer day, high 31 and a low of 17. Mix of sun and cloud, chance of showers on Saturday throughout the day and evening. On Sunday, the 21st of June, 29 for the high, 18 for the low, more sun and cloud mix. And Monday, looking ahead to the new work week, Greg's working by himself on Monday. He's got to learn to fend for himself. High 24, low 17, clouds with showers. Turning the page back to the almanac, we can tell you that yesterday, which was Wednesday, we had a high of 27 and a low of 9. The normals for this time of June, as we wind down spring, get ready for summer, the normal high is 23, the normal low is 11, and the sun is setting at 9:13 p.m. Well, there you have it. There is your 5-day weather forecast. Now time for Clark's health tips. When you're low on sleep like I am, it's always nice to drink a glass of orange juice to boost your vitamin C. Now, I've been losing sleep, just so worried that Greg beat me in one set. Not a match, just a set. And I just couldn't sleep at night. I'm so worried, so concerned. So finally tonight, we're gonna get back at it and finish that match. Greg is up 1-0, and we're gonna be first serve at just after 8 o'clock at the tennis club. Greg, you're in big trouble. Let's send it back to a quick break, and then Greg Esterbrook will have your Sportscast right after this.
Sports is brought to you by Tag Construction for all your construction needs.
Welcome back, everybody. Well, the Ontario Hockey League, through Commissioner David E. Branch, says the league will be back in the fall, but when exactly would that be? The fall goes until December 21st, technically. Battalion General Manager Adam Dennis can't get into his office right now at Memorial Gardens, but still doing lots of work at home and on the phone and on his computer. Dennis is pleased that Commissioner Branch plans on a normal start time this fall, fingers crossed. Of course, that could change, but for North Bay's GM, work goes on more or less normally.
I mean, I think some of the biggest challenges are with the facilities not being open at this point. Finding ways for your players to stay in shape, to stay active without being able to go into the gym, and for most of them not having access to ice. Just finding ways to stay active, staying sharp mentally, and making sure that you know your frame of mind is in a good place. Because when teenagers aren't able to go out and do the things that they normally do, that you find other things to do, and it's important that we're keeping tabs. And the mental health is a big aspect right now for our team.
David Branch came out with his call to action, his return to play statement. A lot of people take that as maybe not gospel, but it's pretty close to commitment.
I think it shows the intention is that you know, that the league wants to play. So I think it's a very important step, and with that, it gives us a little bit of direction on maybe a potential time frame, on some things that we can start putting in place. But really, I think it gives the intent that the league does want to play. We know how important it is for the players, but we also realize that, you know, we're a little bit bound to the provincial guidelines, and we intend to make it a safe environment. So I think it's important that the planning can really begin, and just trying to figure out what the guidelines are going to look like, and what we can do. So there's a lot of stuff that's out there material-wise from the NHL's return to play, Hockey Canada as well. So really just making sure that we got all the things in place, so when we do get that go-ahead, that we're ready to hit the ground running.
At the same time, unlike, say, the National Football League, who could play without fans and still make ends meet, junior hockey needs fans. So I know that's not your specific issue, but it still is a concern for the OHL and the CHL.
Yeah, I would say a lot of businesses that rely on gate driven, it's a concern, and you know, it's not totally something that I'm sure how they're going to navigate. I haven't been involved in all those conversations, but I would imagine that they would want to have fans in the building, and certainly we'll create some pivots for the business side.
All right, the Battalion, of course, have first pick in the import draft, which will be held in 12 days on June 30th. I'm pretty sure they have a good idea who they're going to take, but of course they won't be announcing it until the 30th. No, I don't know his name, but I have a pretty good idea that they're pretty close to making that official. Anyway, good luck to the Battalion. Let's hope they get back on the ice this fall in normal time. And also want to mention that Clark will be off on Friday and on Monday, so no weather treats from Clark, and he'll be sad going home to Burlington tomorrow after he gets crushed on the courts tonight. That's it for news, weather, and sports for this Thursday. I'll be back with more news live at 5 on Friday.